his right hand pointing to the roadway that's depicted in the still of this video image. He also said over here, or this is Baxter. You can see about midway in the frame a street sign, and there's a street that intersects. That's where he was pointing to, that particular street. Again, I believe that was Baxter. I believe the rest of his comments comport with the record and don't need further explanation, or at least verification by the court. So go ahead.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start to play. We're at the 0 mark right now. Where are you going now? Pause, please, I'm sorry. 9-second, we're pausing. Go ahead, officer.
So what you're looking at here is Baxter Street, and right off to your right-hand side, I get that pointing at things with my hand isn't necessarily ideal, but the building over here is the Schutze building. Where those squad lights are there is the parking lot of the Schutze building. There's at least one officer already on foot in this vicinity of the Schutze building where the alleged knife fight with multiple individuals were involved.
Okay, and I see, looks like red and blue lights there in the middle of the photo, or the video. Correct. Whose squad is that?
I know one of them is Officer Nick Hendrickson.
Okay. And is that the officer that you were referring to earlier when you said another officer was also trying to help you find these subjects involved in the fight?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Off to the left, it looks like there's a bunch of cars parked there.
Correct.
Is that general parking available to the public?
That is general public parking for the Schutze building.
Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and play again.
For the subject that are claiming that this fight happened. And they were at Hartwell in Maine with the reserve officer.
Are you driving on Baxter now?
I am driving down
The two subjects walked down towards the White Rock School. Hispanic male, Hispanic female.
Pause it, please. Whose voice was that, if you know?
I'm not going to say I know 100% sure on that.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Play.
216, I'm 1060. I will meet with the callers.
Okay. Slow everybody down. I don't see anything resembling what we reported. What I do, I got it. Always with Spencer Green, just here.
Pause. It's a little hard to see, but on the right-hand side, did you see the individuals walking down the street there?
I did. My squad just passed.
I'm sorry, the sidewalk. Yeah.
About 2 seconds prior, there were 3 individuals who were walking down the sidewalk. These are the 3 individuals that flagged me down on the passenger side of my car.
Okay. Go ahead.
What the fuck?
We had 52 Maine and Berg, so somebody got hit.
What? What?
Black guy, red SUV, just assaulted my friend in the park. Oh shit!
This guy, he not hit me, so they called the cops.
You guys involved with a knife or something?
You can check me.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
I've already been slashed with the knife.
Let me pull over here.
Yeah,
I didn't say anything.
122, their car, Bedford westbound, Maine, by subway.
216. I need another at Hartwell and White Rock. I have another person reported being assaulted. Okay. White Rock, Hartwell, White
Me and
Rock.
my baby daddy, we argue all the time.
Okay.
They answer when he ran me over with cars. Right now we're just talking on the street. Nothing is happening. There's no knife, nothing. They call and for me and we are arguing.
Okay.
Wisconsin and West, I'm checking for injuries. There was someone running through the parade route at a high rate of speed. 3206, 1078, 1078.
Okay.
102! Hey, 1078! We have about 10 to 15 people down in the street!
Who assaulted you? Who ran?
We're arguing, we're insulting. They call.
Did he have a weapon?
We have multiple subjects now, 10 to 15 people, main and gas fire. Repeating, main and gas fire, 1078.
They call. There's no fucking weapon.
I didn't call it. You gotta handle that, that's fine.
Okay. What is your name? Give me your name. Patterson, what's your date of birth?
October 7, 1990.
So, 10/7/1990? Erica Patterson? Okay. Okay.
I copy 1078.
Well, my unit 552, People's Park, female, not conscious, not alert, not breathing. Kent County, everybody here available now. 102 has got multiple critical fractures.
We're doing CPR on an individual at 369 West Main Street.
Got an unconscious, unresponsive 5-year-old. I'm trying to get him in the vehicle again.
Was that you running away from your squad, sir?
That was me running away, yes.
Okay. Go ahead and have a seat, please. It was a little bit difficult to hear when you asked Erica Patterson who assaulted her. Did she tell you a name?
She did not, no.
She did not provide you with any names?
She did not.
Okay. You had her name and her date of birth, and that was it at that point?
That's all I could gather before I had to burn out of there as fast as I could.
Okay. Now, when you got to Main Street, where'd you go?
When I got to Main Street, as most of you probably just saw in the video, I took a westbound direction all the way down to Barstow. There were still floats in the parade. I think there was a lot of people that didn't exactly know what was happening in front of them. When I got to Barstow and exited my patrol vehicle and you saw me running down towards the center of the street, at that point I was just trying to assist any officer, EMS, civilian individual that was around, and it was just mass chaos, carnage everywhere.
Did you attempt to render aid to some injured individuals?
There was approximately 2 to 3 individuals I can remember talking to directly. They were all members of the band. I don't know which band it was. It was one of the high school bands. They were in the vicinity just west of Barstow on Main. There was a number of them laying in the street, obviously injured. I had face-to-face contact with a few of them laying on the ground. There were parents screaming at me to help their kids. I did what basic measures that I could take as far as emergency life-saving goes. I checked pulses. I asked them to squeeze my finger, asked them what hurt, what they could move. The 2 or 3 I talked to could still move. They could still talk. They could tell me what hurt. There were multiple people standing around them also providing aid. At that point, some of the radio traffic that I was picking up on, I was gathering that potentially a vehicle had driven through the parade and hit some of these individuals. I contemplated throwing some of these people in my patrol vehicle and trying to get them to a hospital. However, my vehicle just simply isn't equipped to have that kind of space or room to do that. So given the fact that I didn't want to try to move anybody unnecessarily that would have caused further damage to them, especially if somebody's involved in blunt force trauma such as a car crash, I said, hey, if you're doing fine right now, somebody will be by shortly, we'll get you an ambulance, just hang tight where you are. And that's basically what I had to ensure at least the 2 or 3 people that I came across. The third person I came across was also a band member. She was a female. Her leg was obviously injured. She was being held upright by a couple of adults. And I asked her what was wrong, what was hurting, if there's anything more serious with her as she was being held up. And she said, officer, I saw what happened. I saw who did this. And I said, what can you tell me? And she said, a red SUV sped through the parade and did this. She didn't say anything more than that. I said, okay. I was like, stay with your family, stay with your parents. Somebody will be by with an ambulance to get you shortly.
These 3 injured individuals you spoke to, would you describe them all as being about teenage years?
Objection.
Overruled, he may answer.
This is the grounds, Your Honor.
Overruled, he may answer.
So is he gonna answer to the question to
Yes.
the prosecution table or to the jury? I'm not sure. He's looking at them answering the questions, but they're not answering the question, asking the questions.
You may answer the question, sir.
The 3 individuals that I met with initially had band uniforms on, and it was my understanding that the band from that vicinity right then and there was a high school band, so I would place them all at teenage age range.
Okay, thank you. Were you aware that at some point a person was taken into custody in the 500 block of Elizabeth Street that was related to this incident, sir?
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled.
I was made aware a little while after my involvement directly in the downtown area, yes.
Did you learn the name of the person who had been taken into custody?
Yes.
What was that name?
I knew from radio traffic at the time that it was a Daryl Brooks. I didn't know the date of birth or middle name or anything at that point.
At some point later, after the chaos had somewhat settled, did you have an opportunity to go back and try and investigate the initial complaint you had taken from Erica Patterson?
Yes, I did.
Did you attempt to identify Ms. Patterson fully through police records?
I did identify Ms. Patterson fully by positive ID, yes.
And did you learn of any complaints that have been filed by Ms. Patterson in the past to other police agencies?
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled, he may answer the question that's being posed at this point.
I did conduct some more investigation after my involvement in the entire mass casualty incident. When I went back to the police department afterwards, and I was able to verify that Erica Patterson had been involved in other police cases outside of Waukesha.
And specifically, could you find anything linking Ms. Patterson to the defendant, Daryl Brooks?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
I did find information through our reporting system and other law enforcement sources to directly link Erica Patterson to Daryl Brooks, yes.
And did that information also directly link Daryl Brooks to a vehicle described as a red SUV?
Yes, it did.
I don't have any other questions for this witness at this time, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brooks, you may start your cross-examination.
I notice, Officer Phillips, you are in uniform this afternoon. Were you scheduled to work today?
Yes.
So it would be fair to say that you would be on duty as of now if you weren't giving testimony in this matter.
I would be on duty right now, yes.
So it would also be fair to ask if it would be fair to say that you giving testimony right now, you're still getting paid for it?
I am currently employed by the City of Waukesha Police Department on a working patrol shift, on a normal shift for myself, yes.
So with that, would it be fair to say that you are getting paid right now as we speak?
Yes, I'm getting paid right now.
By whom?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained. Next question.
Were you subpoenaed by the plaintiff in this matter?
Can you rephrase the question?
Were you subpoenaed to testify here today by the plaintiff?
Can you explain it in another way?
That was pretty clear. Were you subpoenaed to testify by the plaintiff in this matter?
I was subpoenaed by the Waukesha County Prosecution's Office to testify in this matter.
And can you say that again just for the record?
I was subpoenaed by the Waukesha County Prosecution's Office in this matter.
Is the Waukesha County Prosecution's Office the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Do you know of any plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Have you ever seen the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Have you ever talked
Sustained.
Have you ever talked to the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Why are you continuing to look at parties that are not asking the questions?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
So, in the video, it's kind of hard to hear everything that was said when you pulled over and interviewed the three individuals. Can you give a little more commentary on what was actually said?
Can you clarify exactly?
What exactly were you told by the three individuals that you pulled over to interview?
I don't remember or recall exactly what all three individuals said to me, as 1078 and the screams for help by other officials over the radio were directing my attention to figure out what was also going on downtown. What I recall hearing from these individuals is that one of the individuals that was not Erica indicated that their friend had been in a fight or an altercation. So that's when I decided to pull over to try to get more information out of them. Erica, told me that nothing happened, that there was just a verbal altercation, that she wanted nothing to happen and she just wanted to leave. That's when another one of the individuals said, Erica, you need to report what happened. And she still didn't want to. And that was basically about the extent of it when I just tried to get her name as these calls over the radio were coming for whatever was happening downtown that was unbeknownst to me at the time.
So would it be fair to say that you do recall the commentary of the interview?
I'm sorry. Now I will object as argumentative, Your Honor.
Sustained. What I would say, Mr. Brooks, is the use of the word commentary mischaracterizes the evidence. It's argumentative.
So it would be fair to say that you do recall what was said after already saying you don't recall.
I object. It's argumentative.
Sustained. Rephrase your question.
It would be fair to say that you responded to a fight at Frame Park, possibly involving a knife. That'd be fair to say.
That is what the initial dispatch was, yes.
Was any knife recovered from that scene, or?
I did not recover a knife. No.
Did you see anybody with a knife?
I did not see any individual with a knife.
Did you learn who reported that there was a knife involved?
I do not know the subjects' names that actually reported the incident, no.
From your recollection, sorry. Just 1 second. From your recollection, was Erica Patterson being cooperative with the information that she gave you?
Erica Patterson was not being cooperative with the information she was giving me, no.
Do you recall if the male individual reported any information to you?
I believe I heard a male's voice during the time that I was flagged down. I don't recall what information he told me directly.
But there was 3 individuals that you interviewed at that time. Would that be fair to say?
There were 3 individuals present at the time I was flagged down, yes.
And one of them was a male. Would that be fair to say?
Correct, yes.
But you don't recall him relaying any type of information to you at that time?
I remember hearing a male's voice. I don't remember what information that specific person told me at that time.
Just so we're clear on the record, about how long did you conduct that interview, would you say? Was it a couple of minutes, or?
I'd have to look directly at the squad video for an exact timestamp, but I would say it was in the vicinity of 1.5 to 2 minutes.
after you interviewed those 3 individuals, did you later gain any more information of the incident that you were investigating at that time?
I did not gain any further information regarding the specific fight that I was initially dispatched to, no.
And just so we're clear for the record, you did not talk to the plaintiff about testifying.
Objection. Vague.
Sustained.
Did you say vague? Were you contacted in any way by the plaintiff to testify here today?
Objection irrelevant.
Sustained.
Do you know if there's even a plaintiff in this matter?
I was contacted by the Waukesha County District Attorney's Office to testify in this case.
Do you know if that's the plaintiff in this matter?
Generally, in a criminal case, the plaintiff would be the state of Wisconsin. That is my assumption in this case, that the plaintiff is the state of Wisconsin.
So the state of Wisconsin is the plaintiff in this matter to your knowledge?
That would be correct, yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Do you have any redirect?
Just very briefly, one question. You have been asked by Mr. Brooks if you did anything to further investigate the initial fights that you were dispatched to. Do you remember that question?
Yes.
Did you, in fact, relay to detectives who were working on this parade incident the information you had found out about the link between Erica Patterson and Darrell Brooks?
Yes.
To your knowledge, did detectives then follow up?
To my knowledge, it's detectives that followed up on any further investigation regarding the fight itself.
Thank you. Nothing else.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You have your next witness.
Yes, I'd also like to move Exhibit 1C into the record, please.
Exhibit 1C is received.
Thank you.
Your objection is noted.
Can I state the grounds, if I may?
You may.
There's a point in the video that was shown, like, during the interview part between the officer and the 3 individuals where...
That's not the exhibit we're talking about.
Well...
We're talking about 1C, which is the annotations to the map that were made that are captured by the annotation system that the state just moved in and the court received.
Okay. I didn't understand what was being referred to. I was going to bring this up, but I wanted to wait.
Sir, let's take it up outside the presence of the jury later on. You'll have to remind me later. I've already received the video, which is exhibit number 6.
That video has some language in it that you made an order on. So I just want to put that on the record. Something that you ruled on.
Sir, we'll take it up outside the presence of the jury. All right? I need to keep going on. Next witness, please.
The state will call Kyle Edwards.
All right, Mr. Edwards, please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right. It is up a riser. When you get to the witness stand, please remain standing, raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please be seated. first thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Kyle Edwards, KYLEEDWARDS.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for being here. What city or town do you live in, sir?
At the time, Waukesha. Right
Okay.
now I live in Pewaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay. So back in November of 2021, you lived here in Waukesha. Is that correct? Okay. And I just want to ask you very briefly, do you have any medical training, sir?
I've been in the service for 17 years, so limited combat lifesaver, you know, just basic Army warrior tasks, that type of medical stuff.
Okay. And on November 21 of 2021, did you make plans to attend the Waukesha Christmas parade?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you attending that parade with any family members?
Yeah, my wife and 2 kids at the time.
Okay. Did you travel to the area where the parade was being held by car?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you remember what road you may have taken to approach the parade area?
Yeah, we lived just east of Frame Park, so we crossed the river and then came up into the downtown area using North Street, East North Street.
Okay. And was there a time when you came to the intersection of North Street and Barstow Road?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, at the corner of East North Street and Barstow, there was a stoplight there. So.
Okay. I'm going to put up a document that's been labeled as Exhibit number 7. You'll get a chance to look at it on your screen first, sir. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, could you, there we go, thank you. Do you see Exhibit 7 on the screen in front of you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize what's shown in Exhibit number 7?
I do, ma'am.
What do you see there, sir?
So that's the intersection we had stopped at. We were coming southwest on North Street, which at the time is a one-way, and stopped at the intersection of East North Street and Barstow with a gas station on our left.
Okay. Does the photograph in Exhibit number 7 accurately represent that intersection to the best of your knowledge, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Move to admit and permission to publish number 7, please.
Any position on that, Mr. Brooks?
Yeah, object. It's irrelevant.
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Exhibit 7 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Just waiting for it to come up on the screen here for everybody to see. Okay. So the roadway is clearly marked as North Street, and the other roadway is clearly marked as Northwest Barstow Street. Do you see that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the big square kind of on the middle right-hand side of the exhibits is the gas station, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is actually a touch screen in front of you, so I'm going to ask you to please mark with an X where you were positioned on North Street. And North Street is a one-way street, is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the direction of travel, if you could mark it in a spot not near where we're going to need to point out other things?
Yeah, so this is
Okay.
the one way.
Okay, perfect. And what about Barstow Street? Is that one-way or two-way, if you know?
I believe it's a two-way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you stop at that intersection, sir? That's a controlled intersection?
Yes, we were stopped at the red light.
Okay. And you were in that left-hand lane. It's 2-lane street there? Or 3 lanes, maybe?
2 or 3. There might be. It looks like there's a turn lane there. So.
Okay. And so you're stopped at the lane closest to the gas station?
That's correct.
And what happened as you're sitting there, sir?
So about the same time as we were coming up to stop at the stoplight, there was a vehicle that made a left from Barstow onto the wrong way, to go to the wrong way on North Street, and stopped right up against our vehicle.
Okay,
So,
could you just draw the travel, the path of travel that you just described, please?
yeah.
What kind of vehicle was this, sir?
It was a red SUV, kind of an older model.
Do you know maker model specifically, or not really?
At the time, no.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to say. Just a red SUV, so.
Okay, and you've already indicated that's the wrong way to be going on North Street.
Correct, ma'am.
Overruled.
What did you do when you saw this red SUV turning the wrong way into your path of travel?
We kind of approached that stop line at the same time, and so we were really with the other vehicle hood to hood, and again, my wife and 2 kids were in the car, and the driver of the other vehicle kind of put up their hands. You know, I could see through the 2 windshields that the other driver put up their hands and was kind of gesturing wildly, like, again, I don't know if mouthing's the right word, but kind of frantically. It seemed upset at us that we were, either going the wrong way or. So I kind of did the same thing. Just put my hands up and just kind of was confused because we were coming up to a stoplight and a car had approached us and was hood to hood.
Okay. Did you stay parked hood to hood, or what happened?
So the person in the other vehicle kind of made mention with like a knife hand to his right, my left. To go in maybe towards the gas station, but he was kind of pointing to go into the driveway of the gas station. So I looked in my rearview mirror. There was no one parked behind me at the time, and other than that vehicle having to maybe back up into the intersection, I could see that they were motioning to go into the driveway of the gas station.
Okay. Can you point out the driveway, please, for the jury?
Yeah, it's just an open driveway here.
Okay.
So I put the car in reverse, backed up maybe 5 feet, and then the vehicle drove into the gas station parking lot.
Do you know who was driving that car?
Again, windshield to windshield, we were somewhat able to identify basic features, but when the car drove into the parking lot, it kind of stopped, positioned itself at an angle, and the driver rolled down the window.
Okay.
Should I draw where they stopped?
Sure.
So the vehicle drove in and kind of stopped on a diagonal like this.
All right. And you're still stopped at the stoplight
Correct.
there?
Still stopped at the stoplight.
Okay.
So the other driver rolled down the window of their vehicle. I just, as a reaction, also rolled down the window of my, I don't know why, it's just a reaction of, so the other driver rolled down their window maybe halfway and stuck his head out and kind of looked back, and he said, why didn't you get out of the way? And I'm trying to get gas. And I said, well, it's a one-way.
Okay.
You're going the wrong way down the runway. Well, I'm telling you, I need to get gas. And I go, oh, okay, man. And then it was a green light, and then we proceeded. So.
Okay. Do you think you can identify the driver of that red SUV?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see that person present in this courtroom here?
I do, yeah.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that Mr. Brooks be instructed to remove his mask temporarily.
Mr. Brooks, you're instructed to take off your mask temporarily and look up, please. Thank you.
So at the time, it was a lot more dark facial hair features and longer hair as well. So, because
Okay.
again, I would have saw through the windshield once, but then also with the window rolled down, kind of looking back. So maybe just like the forehead and then the long, massive hair.
Sure. So different than he looks today with kind of a clean shaven or very short hairstyle
Yes,
and
ma'am.
scruff or stubble on his chin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you do think it was Darrell Brooks that was driving that car based on seeing him in court here today?
I do, ma'am.
Okay. Did you continue on to the parade, sir?
Yes, we did, ma'am.
And where did you and your family watch the parade?
We were literally on Broadway Street. So that was one of the streets that intersects at the 5 Points, intersects Main Street. And so it was really windy, so we wanted to kind of face away from the wind with the kids, so we were sitting on Broadway.
Okay. I'm sorry, I want to back up one step before I leave the gas station. Did it appear to you as though Mr. Brooks was alone in the car?
Yes, it did.
You only saw one person in that car
That's correct.
at that?
The objection is overruled. His answer may stand.
Did you see any black female subjects walking in the area during this time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, now let's go back to the parade. You said you were near the 5 points,
Yes, ma'am.
and you were kind of positioned in area, try to get out of the wind, right?
Not out of the wind, but with our backs to the wind. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
It was very windy that night, right?
Yes.
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
Did you see a red SUV go through the parade as you were watching it, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you remember seeing, sir?
It was from our left. It approached to right. The direct view in front of us, there were no floats or parade participants. It was kind of a gap in the parade entries.
Okay.
And so the vehicle approached from our left. There was somebody that flew through the air, and then it exited to the right of our perspective, and that's all we saw. So because we were a little bit, maybe a row or two back from the front of the parade, we didn't have a long view of it coming and it leaving. It was kind of an enter the frame of reference and then an exit pretty quickly.
Okay. But you did unfortunately see a person flying through the air?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell anything about the person as far as what group or unit they were with? If you know. If you don't know, that's okay.
No, it was just dark clothing.
Okay.
The objection is overruled. His answer may stand.
At that point, sir, near that 5 points intersection, did you hear the horn of the SUV honking as it came through that intersection?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What did you do next?
We folded up our 2 kids in the chair, in the folding parade, lawn chair, and then got them back to the vehicle pretty quickly.
Okay.
And then my wife went to drive the kids home, and then I went back to help out with the craziness. So.
Okay. Why'd you go back to help?
It was just a reaction. I think I'll give credit to my wife. She handed me a couple diapers and a bottle of water and said, you got to go back. So we were right there.
Okay.
So we went back.
And again, you have some limited first aid training, or perhaps more than basic training. You're have some good knowledge from your service in the armed forces, correct?
Basic Army wear tasks include medical training, so yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were you able to render aid to any individuals on Main Street?
There were 2, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions for you. Mr. Brooks may have some questions.
Mr. Brooks?
I'm sorry. Yep. Thank you, Ms. Basie. Could I please ask the clerk to make a screenshot and mark it as 1D, and then I would move to admit. 7D. Should be right? Yes.
Actually, it will be 7A.
Thank you.
So that will be marked as 7A. Mr. Brooks, any position on that?
Yeah, I object to the relevancy of it. This what's on the screen right now? We talking about this?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see the relevance of this.
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. The court receives Exhibit 7A. Do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do. In your you have a written statement and a statement that you gave to Officer Berg. Would that be fair to say?
I don't remember the name of the officer that took my statement.
Would it be fair to say that you were interviewed by an officer, a female officer?
Yes.
And would it also be fair that you have you gave a written statement to that same officer?
I think I signed the statement that she wrote.
So it'd be fair to say that the officer wrote down what you told her?
Yes.
And do you remember the date that interview took place?
A couple days after the parade incident.
Any reason why it wouldn't have been the same day as the parade?
I would assume that they were rendering aid to the victims of the incident, and it took a while to get back to anybody that had called in with any altercations, or not altercations, but interactions.
Do you recall stating in this interview that you saw the news and a picture of the male driving the said SUV?
I believe in the statement I said that I wanted to provide a description of who I had the interaction with before I saw any picture of anybody on the news.
So you never stated that since the incident and before the statement that you saw the news and the picture of the male?
I guess I don't understand the question.
In your statement that the officer wrote down. Well, let me back up. Did you see a picture of the alleged defendant on the news?
Yes, but not before I provided the description to the officer.
So the description that you gave, would that be the same officer that did the interview?
I called the evening of the incident. I called the non-emergency line and provided a description at maybe 10:30 that evening of the event, and then provided the same description to the officer, a few days later.
Do you recall why you called the non-emergency line for something that would have been so big that it should have been an emergency call?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained. Please rephrase the question, Mr. Brooks.
Any reason why you would call the non-emergency line?
Someone going down a wrong way on a one-way street a few minutes before the parade didn't seem like an emergency compared to what had happened at the parade.
So would it be fair to say that you were then reporting someone going down the wrong way, trying to get into the gas station at that time?
At what time?
At the time that you called the non-emergency number.
I wanted to report that I had seen someone in a red SUV going the wrong way down a one-way before the parade, and the possibility that it was connected to the red SUV that I had seen drive through the parade.
So that non-emergency report, as you state, would have been to make a possible connection between the two incidents?
I was just reporting what I had seen.
So at that time, would it be fair to say you weren't sure if there was a connection?
I would say that I had a red SUV 5 feet from my hood, and then I saw a red SUV drive through the parade and wanted to, notify the police that I had seen that.
So at the time, were you sure that there was a connection?
Pretty sure, yes.
And what would have made you pretty sure?
The color of the SUV, the approximate age of the SUV, the timing between the 20 minutes of where I was in Waukesha to the 25 minutes later that I had seen the red SUV go through the parade.
Would it be fair to say that you just described the SUV that made the wrong turn going into the gas station as an older model? I think that was your correct words. Is that fair?
Yes.
Is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to make the connection between the older model SUV that you saw going into the gas station and the one that you saw in the parade?
No, they were a similar age. I guess older subjective. I mean, it was a similar age, the one I saw before the parade and the one I saw during the parade.
So it'd be fair to say that you weren't exactly sure.
I'm pretty sure they were the same vehicle.
Do you recall in your statement saying that you were 95% sure?
That sounds right, yes. 95%. I would give that same percentage, yes.
Why would you not be 100% sure if you say that you believe that they were the same vehicle?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained. Please rephrase the question, Mr. Brooks.
I guess I'll say it like, what put any doubt in your head that they weren't the same vehicle?
I wasn't able to see the driver of the person going through the parade because it was moving so fast. So I guess there's a very, very small chance that the red SUV I saw beforehand happened to be a similar year, make, and model and color of the SUV that I saw go through the parade.
So you weren't exactly sure who was driving the SUV in the parade?
Correct.
Do you recall in the statement that the officer wrote down? Do you recall telling the officer that was writing the report that you're 95% sure the male you saw prior to the parade at the gas station was the one driving through the parade route?
As far as I would not be able to identify who was driving through the parade route because the vehicle was moving too fast.
Do you recall saying that his voice was the same?
Yes. So when the second interview had taken place, again, I wanted to provide the description to the officer, the visual description the night of. But just as I did now, I'm 95% sure that the interaction that I had prior to the parade was with you.
Who do you refer to when you say you?
Whatever your name is.
So you don't know the alleged defendant's name?
I do, yeah.
Would it be safe to assume that if you couldn't see who was driving the SUV in the parade route, that you also couldn't identify if it was the same voice?
The voice has nothing to do with the driver of the vehicle driving the parade. Again, it was moving too quickly. I wasn't able to identify the driver when I saw the vehicle going through the parade.
So would it be safe to assume that you got the description from the news and picture of the person that you seen on the news?
The person and the voice that I saw in the news matched who I interacted with prior to the parade.
But just so we're clear for the record, there was no way you saw who was driving the vehicle in the parade route?
Correct.
Going back to the interaction at the gas station, do you recall telling the interviewing officer that the driver of that vehicle wrote down the window to say, "I'm almost out of gas"?
Yes.
Do you recall backing your vehicle up to let the driver of that car into the gas station?
Yes.
Do you remember how far you backed up?
5 feet.
Do you remember telling the reporting officer who was writing down your statement that it was 10 feet?
5 to 10 feet.
Was it 5 feet or 10 feet?
It was enough to let the vehicle into the gas station.
So would it be safe to say that you don't recall?
It would be safe to say it's between 5 and 10 feet.
After your initial non-emergency call, it was the night of the parade that you made the non-emergency call, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall how long after that you were then interviewed by law enforcement?
A few days.
Did you try to attempt to call and report again?
Yes, I think so. I think I'd called again maybe a day or two later, just because again it was when I first called the night of. They seemed to be pretty busy, so I called a day or two later just to make sure that anybody had taken down the statement that I had made the night of, and then it was a couple days later that the officer came out to interview me.
Would it be fair to state that at that time you were still seeking to report what had happened at the gas station?
That's correct.
So you weren't seeking to report any connection between the gas station incident and what you saw on the parade route?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled. He may answer.
I was calling to report what I had seen before the parade.
And the second reporting was before you actually were interviewed, correct? Just so we're clear for the record.
What do you mean by the second reporting?
The second time that you called to make a report about the gas station incident, that was before you ultimately were interviewed by law enforcement.
That's correct. The second call was just to make sure that they still had my name, and I didn't really file a formal report that second time. It was just a call to see that they still had my name and contact info, and they had said that an officer would be out eventually to interview.
At that time, when you called to make sure that they still had your name on file, or your report about the gas station incident, at that time, had you made any connection to that incident and what you saw at the parade?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. We've been through this.
Sustained. It's been asked and answered. Mr. Brooks, I draw your attention once again to 90611.
Noted.
Next topic, please.
Noted. And were you subpoenaed by the state of Wisconsin to testify here today?
I was either the state or the county. I received a letter from the county.
Did they identify as the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Do you see the state of Wisconsin in the courtroom today?
Objection, Your Honor, vague.
Sustained.
To the best of your knowledge, do you know if the state of Wisconsin is the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Have you ever had any interaction with the state of Wisconsin?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Ever had a phone conversation with the state of Wisconsin?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Do you even know the state of Wisconsin?
Same objection.
Sustained.
Mr. Brooks?
And you,
New topic, or I'll stop the cross-examination under 90611.
one second. Did you, do you recall how long approximately you were stopped at the red light during the gas station incident?
A minute or two.
Did you ever see the vehicle that went into the gas station actually get gas?
When we turned left onto Barstow, I noticed that the vehicle didn't stop for gas and was gonna either exit to go back on north, but it didn't stop at a gas pump.
Did you see the vehicle pull off from the gas station, or was it just kind of stationary parked?
I can't say what the vehicle did because I was already at that point out of view. I just know that it had not gone to one of the gas pumps.
No further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. State may call its next witness, please.
Thank you. The state calls Holly Berg.
Calm facilities, it's hot in here. That temperature's gotta come down. I'm calling facilities. It's hot. Do we have Ms. Berg? Good afternoon. If you would please make your way to the witness stand. It is to my right, upper riser. When you get there, please raise your right hand. Remain standing, raise your right hand, and I sent my clerk on an errand, so I will swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a seat, please. When you are seated, the first thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each, please.
Holly Berg, Hollylbyberg.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Berg, thank you for your appearance here this afternoon. I'd like to ask you about the events of November 21, 2021, okay? Do you remember that afternoon, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, what you were doing?
Yes.
What was that?
I was dropping my boyfriend's daughter, who was 5 at the time, at with her dance company on White Rock Avenue at their staging area,
Okay.
to get ready for the parade.
So your boyfriend's daughter was going to participate in the parade?
Yes.
Okay. And you had to drop her off on White Rock?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
And
It's my
then,
job to make sure the record's clear, so if you nod your head or say,
Okay.
I'll clarify. It's okay, people do it all the time.
and after you dropped her off, were you planning to attend the parade then?
Yes.
And where were you planning to watch the parade from?
earlier that morning we went and put our chairs and blankets on a spot on Main and Maple right on the corner.
Okay. And do you know if you were on the north side of the street or the south side of the street?
South side.
South side of the street. And do you know any businesses that were nearby that you can remember?
Yeah, we were right across from Main Street Bar and Grill.
Okay.
Mainstream.
Okay, Mainstream Bar and Grill?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And as you were traveling to the parade after dropping off your boyfriend's daughter, did you travel along North Street?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask to display exhibit number 7, which has already been admitted, Your Honor.
Permission to publish exhibit 7 is granted.
All right, so it's up on the big screens. It's also on the monitor in front of you.
Okay.
And that's actually a touch screen, so I will ask you to please put an X in the area where you were as you approach the intersection of North Street and Barstow Street.
Sure. I was right here in the second lane. It was probably one lane too close. I drew the X.
Okay.
We can clear it and she can do it again if it's not accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the
So I was right
greatest.
here in the,
Okay.
oh my gosh.
In the center lane.
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on, I wonder if she, you may have clicked the arrow, which is okay. There's multiple ways to annotate. So try it again and see what comes up.
There we go.
Okay. And as you approach that intersection, do you remember if you had to stop for the stoplight there?
Yes, it had just turned red.
Okay. Did you see any cars around you on North Street?
Yes, there was a car to my left. I think it was silver. And I think there was a car on my right.
Okay. And the car on your left then would be in the lane closest to the gas station, correct?
Correct, right at the corner.
Okay. There is a gas station right there, that big box in the middle of the
Yes.
street. Okay. What do you remember happening as you sat there at the stoplight?
So I stopped at the stoplight, and I immediately saw a red SUV come from down the hill on Barstow, and it turned into North Street to go into the gas station. However, it turned on a one-way street, and it was like head-to-head with the car next to me.
Okay.
In the first lane. And so I was right next to the silver car.
Sure.
And
How about, could you draw that for us on the map?
Yeah.
The best you can, please.
Yep, so it came down here and into this first lane right here.
Okay. And that's where the silver car was parked.
Yeah.
Or stopped, I should say.
Yes, and there is a driveway to the gas station right here.
Okay.
And the silver car was blocking that driveway because it's an exit, not an enter.
Okay. And so you saw the SUV go kind of hood to hood or head to head, you
Yes.
said, with the silver car.
Yeah, and I was looking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is coming trying to get onto our one-way street, and I saw a bunch of arm flailing from.
By who?
I think both vehicles, because presumably the red SUV is mad that the silver car is blocking to get into the gas station. The silver car is like, I'm not doing anything wrong. So they were both kind of upset. And then I noticed the silver car backed up to allow the red SUV to get into the gas station.
Okay. Could you see into the red SUV and see the driver of that vehicle?
When I was, before it had entered the before silver car backed up and red SUV went into the driveway, I could just see outline.
Okay.
However, after the SUV pulled in, he stopped immediately as soon as he got into the driveway and stuck his head out and was still doing this, like yelling at the silver car.
Gesturing and
Yes.
yelling. Could you hear what was being said?
No, I had my window up.
You had your window up. Okay, but you could, it appeared he was yelling.
Yes.
Did he appear angry to you?
Irritated.
Okay. And could you tell how many people were in that red SUV at that point? Or did you see anybody other than the driver?
I did not see anybody else.
Okay. Do you think you can identify the driver of that red SUV?
Yes.
Is that person present in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna ask Mr. Brooks to remove his mask, Your Honor, for identification by this witness.
Mr. Brooks, thank you. Record to reflect, he took his mask down.
Yes.
Is that the driver of the red SUV you just described for us?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you eventually go on to the parade?
Yes. So right after, 5 seconds after the SUV got in and stuck his head out, then the light turned green and I went and parked my car.
Okay.
And then met with my family at
Okay.
the location.
Okay. And did you see a red SUV on the parade route?
Yes, about 30 minutes into getting there.
Okay. So I'm just gonna slow down here a little bit, okay? You're doing a great job, thank you. I just wanna ask you now, as you're standing there at the parade, what do you remember about the first time you saw that red SUV?
So at first, so a group had just passed us. I believe it was the Catholic community group. And then there was a large gap. And so I looked to see, what's next.
Okay.
And saw a red SUV, which I originally thought was part of the parade, in the far right lane of Main Street. But it was going really fast, and I said to myself, why is this going so fast? And then it clicked as soon as it switched over to the far left lane, and then into the group of people right in front of me.
And that will be the Catholic community group?
I do believe so.
Did you see the red SUV strike any people in the Catholic community group?
Several.
Can you estimate how many?
At least 15.
Okay. And did, I'm sorry to ask it this way, but did you see anybody actually fly or roll or tumble?
Yeah, so originally I heard sounds like thuds, and then it was in the air, like bowling pins.
Okay. Did you get a look at the driver of the vehicle as it went through the parade?
Yeah, when I had just said it veered to the left and then struck the group of people, it was about probably 6 or 7 feet from where I was standing.
Okay.
And I saw directly through the driver's window.
What did you see?
I saw a man focused on the group ahead of him.
Is that Daryl Brooks that you saw?
Yes. And as soon as that happened, about 10 seconds after, I froze and I said to my mom, who was with me, I just saw that guy at the gas station. And it clicked that it was the same person.
You remember exactly that it was the same person?
Yes.
Okay. You described hearing some noises that you described as thuds, is that right?
Yes.
What do you think that noise was?
Hitting a large group of people with a vehicle.
Okay. Did you hear Mr. Brooks honking the horn on the vehicle at all?
No.
You described some driving maneuvers where you saw him going from side to side of the road, is that correct?
Yeah, I saw it coming up Main Street in the far right lane, and I was in the far left, on the sidewalk of the far left, and it was then in the far left lane.
Okay. Were you able to estimate the speed of the vehicle at that time?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Would you be able to estimate the speed?
To the best of my knowledge, I would say 20 miles per hour, perhaps.
Okay. Did you ever see the vehicle stop?
I think it had to at least very well slow down. It couldn't just continue on over as many bodies as it did. I remember the brake lights, but then it continued.
Did you actually see the vehicle drive over people?
I saw it hit the group and people fly, and then there was just chaos in the street.
Okay. Had your boyfriend's daughter already gone through?
No, she had not.
Okay. So she was back waiting to join the parade, or
We
you
didn't
know
know
where she was?
at the time, no. So as soon as it happened, my boyfriend leaped up to go help people, and I grabbed him. I said, no, go find her. So then he took off and had to go find her down 5 blocks.
Okay. All right, thank you, ma'am. I don't have any other questions for you.
Mr. Brooks, do you have any cross-exam for this witness?
I do. First of all, good afternoon. You stated that you saw brake lights. Would that be fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Would it be fair to say you would only see brake lights from a vehicle if it was attempting to stop?
Or slow.
So, just so I'm clear on that, you would see brake lights on a vehicle that is attempting to slow down or stop.
Sure.
And you stated that you can estimate the speed of the vehicle.
I estimated 20 miles per hour.
And would you characterize that as extremely fast?
Yes, for the parade, yes.
And how did you come to the conclusion of the speed?
With how quickly it went from point A to point B in my range of sight.
Going back to the gas station incident, you were. I guess I would need to see the map again.
We still have that available? The map? We still have the map with the markings available, or was it cleared after we captured it?
I didn't clear it.
Yeah,
Okay.
could we please save that as 7B, please, Your Honor?
It will be saved as 7B.
And admitted.
Any position on that, Mr. Brooks?
Yeah, I don't see the relevancy of the map.
It's directly related to her testimony, sir. It's relevant. Your objection is noted.
So
It's overruled. Exhibit 7B is received.
where were you positioned again at the stoplight?
I was in the front row in the middle lane.
Do you remember if it was a car to your right?
I think there was a car to my right.
Do you recall if the vehicle you saw going into the gas station had any tinted windows?
I do not.
And you stated that you were pretty sure it was only one occupant of that vehicle?
Yes, that's all I could see.
With all you can see, or are you sure that it was only one occupant?
I could see one person.
So it'd be fair to say you couldn't see any other seats in the vehicle?
I saw one person when it was head-to-head with the vehicle next to me, the one with the arms in the air, and then I saw one person as he stuck his head out the window once he pulled in.
Could you see the passenger seat?
I could not from that point.
Could you see the back seats?
No.
Are we done with the map? I'd like to turn it
Oh,
over.
oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Do you recall who subpoenaed you here to testify?
Yes.
You stated for the record?
Yes, I said. Oh, the state of Wisconsin District Attorney.
Do you see the state of Wisconsin present in the courtroom today?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained. Mr. Brooks, move on. Under 90611, I've sustained all of the objections related to this line of questioning. It's not relevant. Next topic, or I will find that the cross-examination by you is done.
So you're sustaining every question pertaining to that part of questioning, or is it for
Yes.
every testimony? Or
It's on that topic, so you may continue if you choose another topic.
have you ever seen the plaintiff, state of Wisconsin, before?
Right, pursuant to 90611, judge controls the order and mode of interrogation, that these questions violate sub 1, and Mr. Brooks will not be able to ask any further questions of this witness. Does the state have any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
What was
Mr. Brooks,
violated?
I'm not going to address that right now. I think this will be a good time to take our afternoon break. So we'll be, I need to address a couple things with the parties, but as far as the jurors are concerned, about 15 minutes for the afternoon break, give or take. All rise for the jurors, please. Has passed 3 notes to the court. I review them as they come in. At times I put no response needed by the court. I initial it, date it, put the time. These will be uploaded into the file at some point. There was one particular request I do want to take up by Mr. Brooks, and that is at 1:11 p.m. he sent a note to the court indicating, I'm very emotional right now, can I go to the other court? I responded to that at 1:20 p.m. and I said the court will address this at the next break. Clerk advised to provide a copy of this response to the parties forthwith. I believe she may have provided even the other note, a copy of the other note in my response at that time, but at a minimum I know my response was copied and provided to the parties. I did note that I saw Mr. Brooks reviewing the papers. They were put on the corner of his table. I wrote down the time. It's not at my fingertips. I'll look for that. But in any event, I did want to address that with you, Mr. Brooks. You've been in the courtroom, you've been meaningfully participating. Are you asking to go to the other courtroom?
At the time that we went back on the record, I was very emotional at that time. Still very emotional, but I'm attempting as best I can to hold it together. That does lead me to, since we are addressing certain things outside the...
Well, I'm addressing this first, sir. Are you making a request to go to the other
I'm not
courtroom?
making any requests at this time. Like I just stated, I'm trying my best to hold everything together considering how this day has been. I can't expect anybody else to know what's inside my head to know what I'm going through right now, but yeah, we'll just leave that there.
All right, thank you. That is noted for the record. At some point, sir, after I admitted Exhibit 6, you raised an objection. I told you I would allow you to raise that outside the presence of the jury. Now's your opportunity to do that.
And which one would you be referring to?
Exhibit 6, sir.
Or the video?
We've seen multiple videos, but yes, Exhibit 6 is a video, sir.
I think it's very clear what I was referring to in that video. The interview portion of the officer with the 3 individuals has language in it that you made a ruling about, pertaining to a whole different entire...
Which part of the video, sir?
The interview part. I'm going to say it again, as I've already said it clearly enough. The interview part between the officer and the 3 individuals.
And what specifically are you referring to? What statement, sir? I need some specificity.
Do you need it played? Do you need it played?
Mr. Brooks, you're the one making the objection. Please make your offer of proof so I can rule on it.
The offer of proof is that there's language said by Erica Patterson in that interview that can be audible, referring to another situation in another county. You made a ruling on that would not be admitted into evidence. So at the very least, that portion of the video that you've already admitted into evidence should be removed, or the whole video should be struck and removed from the record. And I'm saying that because of the ruling that you made, the judicial determination that you made, Your Honor.
Let me turn to the state. Attorney Opper, I don't specifically recall. If I need to review it on a break, maybe I will, but do you have any idea what this is referring to?
I do not, Your Honor. I did not hear anything in that recording that would violate your previous orders.
I object to that. It's very clear if the video was played that you can hear language said in that portion of the video that you clearly ruled on.
I'll review it at a later point in time. The state will need to just file that clip on a flash drive so I can review that in chambers. From my perspective, even if there were to be something, it was not offered for the truth of the matter asserted. This was to provide an account of what the officer was experiencing, but I'll review it. If there is something in there, I certainly can. It doesn't change the fact that the video itself is admissible. It might have an impact on whether it's played again for the jury, at least at that particular point. But again, I didn't personally catch that, but there was a lot going on in that video at that time, a lot of audio. There's clearly, in addition to the audio from the squad, you can hear the radio, so I will need to review it again. Mr. Brooks, I'd appreciate if you not roll your eyes at me. There was a lot going on in that video. I don't think anyone in this courtroom would disagree with me. What I'm telling you, I'm giving you the opportunity to raise the issue since you essentially didn't, well, let me state it this way. You raised it when you thought it was appropriate. I told you I'd take it up outside the presence of the jury. That's what I'm giving you the opportunity to do. What I'm telling you is I'm not going to make a ruling specifically because I need to watch the video. And so I don't think that's something you should be rolling your eyes at. That's proper for this court. It would be something that if I were to just give my ruling right now, it would be something that someone could look at later on and say, well, you just admitted on the record, you didn't hear it yourself. So what I'm telling you, sir, is I'm gonna take the time, not now during the trial, but on a break when I can look at it in chambers and keep a careful ear out for what you said, and then I'll come back and make my ruling.
Your Honor.
So that's giving deference to your request. So I don't think it warrants you rolling your eyes at me.
I wasn't rolling my eyes to you about
So
that.
with that, we're on recess, 15 minutes, everyone. The court's stepping.
Your Honor.